Ladies and gentlemen, we are standing in the land of the living, but the question today is, what about the dead? What are they doing right now? Are they sleeping, wandering, watching, or are they in a place of judgment, a place of glory? The world teaches us to forget, move on, bury the past, but the truth is, no one is truly gone. Every soul that has ever walked this earth still exists. Right now, at this very moment, they are somewhere, some in peace, some in torment, some rejoicing, some weeping. And what they know now, you and I will one day know too. Every person who has ever lived, every man, every woman, every child that has walked the earth, where are they now? The kings and rulers, the rich and the poor, the warriors and the saints, those who built cities and those who wandered the deserts, are they truly gone, or do they still exist? The world tells us to forget them, to move on, to see death as the end. But the truth is something far greater, far deeper, and far more eternal than we often stop to realize. Right now, as we speak, the dead are not dead in the way we think. They have left this world, yes, but they have not ceased to be. They still exist just beyond the veil in another realm that is hidden from our eyes, but more real than the air we breathe. Their time in this physical world has ended, but their existence continues in ways we cannot fully comprehend. They are awake, aware, and experiencing the reality of eternity. Some at this very moment are in joy beyond anything we can imagine. They are in peace, surrounded by light, free from pain, free from sorrow, free from the weight of this fallen world. They walk in the presence of the Almighty, seeing the beauty and the truth they only glimpsed while on earth. Every promise made to them in the sacred writings has come to pass. They are more alive now than they ever were when they walked among us. If we could hear their voices, they would not speak of regret or loss, but of fulfillment and glory. Yet others right now are not in peace. They are in darkness, in a place of regret, in a reality where all that was ignored or denied in life now stands before them, undeniable and inescapable. Their bodies are gone, but their consciousness remains. The truth that they dismissed or rejected is now clearer than ever, but it is too late to change their course. If they could speak to us, they would not speak words of comfort. They would cry out in warning. They would plead with us to open our eyes before our time comes, to see what they refuse to see, to turn back before we too cross the point of no return. The dead have not disappeared into nothingness. They have stepped into eternity. Some into joy, some into sorrow, some into light, some into darkness, some into reward, some into judgment, but they all still exist. This moment that we are living right now, it will pass. The things we chase, the things we worry about, the distractions that consume our days, they will fade away. But what remains is the soul, the spirit, the essence of who we are. And when our time comes, we too will step beyond this world into the next, just as all who came before us have done. The question is not whether we will continue to exist after death. The question is where. The question is how. The question is in what state. And the answer is determined not at the moment of death, but in the moments before, right now, while we still have breath, while we still have time to choose. If the dead could speak, they would tell us to wake up. They would tell us that this life is not all there is, that there is something greater, something eternal, something more real than everything we see with our eyes. They would tell us that the choices we make today are not small, not insignificant, but eternal. They would tell us that the life to come is far longer than the life we know here. We live in a world that teaches us to ignore death, to push it aside, to act as if it will never come. But it will, and when it does, what will our reality be? We must live with the knowledge that life does not end here. We must walk with the awareness that we are preparing even now for what comes next, because just as those before us still exist, so too will we. The only question left is, where will we be? Right now, at this very moment, there are two kinds of people who have crossed from this life into the next. Some have stepped into the fullness of joy, while others have entered into a realm of darkness. Though we cannot see them, though their voices have fallen silent in this world, their existence has not ended. It has only transitioned from one reality to another. And what determines where they are right now is not wealth, status, or power. It is the choices they made while they were still among the living. For those who walked in the truth, who sought righteousness, who lived not for themselves but for something greater, there is no fear, no sorrow, no regret. They are in the presence of the Almighty, in a place where pain no longer exists, where suffering is no more, where every tear has been wiped away. They are free, more free than they ever were in this temporary world. They are alive in a way beyond human understanding, dwelling in light, experiencing peace that no words could ever describe. These are the ones who, while on earth, understood that life was more than the passing moments, more than the desires of the flesh, more than the distractions of the world. They lived with eternity in their hearts. They walked the narrow path, often mocked, often ridiculed, but they knew that this life was not their final destination. And now they stand in the place they longed for, the place they lived for. If we could see them now, we would see joy, we would see fulfillment, we would see the reward of a life well lived. But there is another reality, another destination. And right now, at this very second, there are souls who have stepped into it. They too have not ceased to exist, but their experience is not one of peace. It is one of regret, of separation, of judgment. They were given life, time, and countless opportunities, but they did not recognize what was before them. They ignored the truth, dismissed it, or outright rejected it. They lived for themselves, for their own desires, believing that this world was all there was. And now they find themselves in a reality they never expected, a reality they cannot escape. What is this place? It is a place without hope, without comfort, without light. It is the place of final separation from the one who gives life. There they remember. They remember every opportunity they had to turn back, every warning they ignored, every truth they rejected. But now the time to change their path has passed. They cry out, but no answer comes. They seek escape, but there is no door. They long for another chance, but there are no second chances beyond the grave. These two destinies, these two realities exist side by side at this very moment. Some rejoice in the fullness of life, others mourn in the darkness of regret. And one day, every single person alive today will step into one of these two places. Every decision we make, every action we take, every belief we hold, these are shaping our eternity. The dead are proof of this truth. They are the evidence that what we do here matters far beyond the limits of our time on earth. If those who are in joy could speak to us now, they would tell us to hold on, to stay faithful, to live with eternity in mind. They would tell us that the struggles of this world are temporary, that no suffering is in vain, that no sacrifice is wasted. They would tell us that every moment spent walking in truth is a moment that prepares us for a greater glory. If those who are in darkness could speak, they would not warn us about wealth, success, or reputation. They would not tell us to chase after the things of this world. They would plead with us to wake up, to see the truth, to turn back before it is too late. They would beg us not to make the same mistake they did. They would tell us that nothing in this world is worth an eternity of regret. So while we still have breath, while we still have time, we must ask ourselves, which reality are we preparing for? Because the dead, they have already chosen. Their fate is sealed. But for us, the choice remains. And the time to choose is now. If the dead could speak, what would they say? Right now, beyond this world, there are countless souls who have crossed from life into eternity. Some are in peace, others in torment. Some rejoice in the presence of God, others mourn in regret. But if they had one more chance to send a message back to the living, what would their words be? Would they tell us to enjoy life, to chase wealth, to seek pleasure? No. The voices from eternity would not speak of temporary things. They would not remind us of the things we spend our days worrying about, careers, possessions, entertainment, because now they see clearly. Now they understand what truly matters. The righteous, those who have entered into the joy of the Almighty, would tell us that it was all worth it. Every sacrifice, every hardship, every moment of faithfulness, it was not wasted. They would tell us that the suffering they endured on earth was nothing compared to the glory they now experience. They would urge us to stay strong, to hold on, to walk the path that leads to life. But what about the others, the ones who are in darkness, in sorrow, in regret? What would they say? They would not tell us to live however we please. They would not tell us that nothing matters. No, they would cry out with urgency. They would beg us to wake up. They would plead with us not to make the same mistakes they made. They would tell us that time is short, that life is fragile, that eternity is real. They would tell us that they had every chance to turn back, to seek the truth, but they ignored it. They thought they had more time. They thought they could wait. And now they see the truth, but it is too late. The dead have no way to change their fate. Their choices have already been made, but we still have time. We still have the chance to choose. Imagine if you could hear them. Imagine if for one moment the voices of eternity could reach into this world. What would they say to you? Would they tell you to chase after success, to build wealth, to live for pleasure? Or would they tell you that none of those things matter in the end? They would tell you to seek what is eternal, to live with purpose, to turn away from the distractions that lead to nothing. They would tell you that the things of this world will fade, but what we do in this life echoes into eternity. We often live as if death is far away, as if we have all the time in the world, but time is not guaranteed. Every day is a gift, every breath an opportunity. And one day our time will be over. One day we will be the ones on the other side. The question is, what will our story be? Will we be among those who rejoice or among those who regret? The dead would tell us not to wait. They would tell us that the most dangerous lie is, I have more time. They would tell us that the greatest tragedy is not losing life, but losing eternity. If they could speak, they would tell us that right now, while we still have breath, we must choose wisely, because soon our voice will be silent in this world and our destiny will be sealed. But today, in this moment, the choice is still in our hands. One day, every person alive today will step beyond this life and enter eternity. It is not a question of if. It is only a question of when. The reality of death is inescapable, and yet it is the one thing most people try to ignore. We plan for the future, chase after dreams, and fill our days with distractions, all while avoiding the truth that sooner or later we will leave this world behind. But when that moment comes, what happens next? What will we face on the other side? The answer is not hidden. The answer has been spoken throughout history, written in sacred texts, and echoed by those who have glimpsed the edge of eternity. There are only two destinations, one of life, one of judgment. And which one we enter is not decided after death, but before it. Right now, at this very moment, those who have passed from this world are living out the consequences of their choices. Some are in light, in joy, in the presence of the Almighty. They are more alive now than they ever were on earth. They have stepped into a reality beyond human understanding, a place of peace, a place where every tear has been wiped away, where sorrow no longer exists. But there is another reality, one of regret, one of separation, one of darkness. Right now, as we speak, there are souls who ignored the warnings, who refused to turn back, who thought they had time, but found out too late that time had run out. They now see the truth they once denied, but there is no way to change their fate. The greatest deception in this world is the belief that this life is all there is, that what we do here has no eternal consequence. The world tells us to live for ourselves, to chase after success, to accumulate wealth, to indulge in pleasure. But what happens when it all ends? What happens when the breath leaves our bodies, when our eyes close for the last time? The things we spent a lifetime chasing will be gone in an instant. The wealth, the fame, the achievements, none of it will follow us beyond the grave. What will matter in that moment? Not the size of our bank accounts, not the number of people who knew our names, not the power we held. The only thing that will matter is the state of our soul. Because once we leave this world, our eternity is sealed. There are no second chances, no do-overs, no negotiations. If the dead could speak to us now, they would tell us this: live with eternity in mind. Stop chasing what is temporary. Stop wasting time on things that will not last. They would plead with us to wake up, to see what truly matters before it is too late. The souls who are now in light would tell us that it was worth it. Every sacrifice, every hardship, every trial, it was all worth it for the glory they now experience. They would urge us to stay faithful, to walk the narrow path, to live in truth. But the souls in darkness, oh, what would they say? They would not speak of success. They would not speak of the pleasures of this world. They would cry out with one message: don't make the same mistake. They would tell us that nothing in this world is worth an eternity of regret, that no moment of pleasure is worth separation from the source of life, that ignoring the truth leads only to sorrow. And so we must ask ourselves, where are we headed? What choices are we making today that are shaping our eternity? Because one day, sooner than we think, we will be the ones on the other side. And when that moment comes, there will be no turning back. The dead still exist. They are awake, they are aware, and their reality is either joy beyond imagination or regret beyond description. But we still have time. We still have a choice. And what we do with this time will determine where we stand when our final breath is taken. The question is not whether we will continue to exist after death. The question is, where will we be? Right now, as you read these words, time is moving forward. Every second that passes is a second we can never get back. Every breath we take is one less breath we have before our time on this earth is over. And yet, so many live as if time is endless, as if death is some distant event that will never arrive. But the truth is, death does not wait. It comes to the young and the old, the rich and the poor, the strong and the weak. It does not ask for permission. It does not warn before it arrives. And when it comes, it marks the end of every earthly opportunity and the beginning of eternity. So while we are still here, while our hearts still beat and our lungs still draw breath, we have something the dead no longer have. Time to choose, time to seek, time to turn back, time to prepare for what lies ahead. Right now, there are two kinds of people who have passed from this life. Some are in peace in the presence of the Almighty, filled with joy, experiencing a reality more real than anything we have ever known. They made their choice while they were still in this world. They walked the path of truth even when it was difficult, even when it cost them everything. And now they reap the rewards of eternity. But there are others, souls who thought they had time, who lived for themselves, who ignored the warnings, who chased after what was temporary while neglecting what was eternal. And now their time is gone. Their chance is over. They have entered a reality of regret, a place where they see clearly but too late. If they could speak, they would tell us one thing: do not waste the time you have. Time is one of the greatest gifts given to us, but it is also one of the most fragile. It is slipping away moment by moment, and we do not know when our last moment will come. That is why the most dangerous lie we can believe is, I have more time. The ones who were in darkness now thought the same thing. They thought they could wait. They thought they could live however they pleased and fix things later, but later never came. And now there is no more time to choose, but we still have time. Right now, in this moment, we have the ability to turn, to seek, to prepare. The dead no longer have choices, but we do. Every day we live is another chance, another opportunity to make sure that when our time comes, we will step into light and not into regret. If the dead could return for just one moment, what would they say? Would they speak of money, of fame, of entertainment? No, they would tell us to wake up. They would tell us that nothing in this world is worth an eternity apart from the source of life. They would plead with us to stop wasting time, to stop being distracted, to stop believing the lie that this life is all there is, because one day we will be in their place. One day we will cross from this life to the next. And when that moment comes, the choices we made while we were here will be the only thing that matters. So while we still have breath, we must ask ourselves, what are we doing with the time we have left? Are we living for what is eternal, or are we wasting our days on things that will disappear? Are we walking in truth, or are we letting the world lead us into blindness? Time is not guaranteed. Tomorrow is not promised. But today we have a choice. Today, we have the chance to seek what is true, to prepare for eternity, to ensure that when we step beyond this life, we will step into joy and not into sorrow. The dead can no longer change their fate, but we can. The time is now. The choice is ours. And what we do in this moment will echo forever. Right now, as we speak, eternity is unfolding. The dead are not gone. They are simply beyond the reach of this world. Some are in peace, others in torment, but one thing is certain: their time of choosing has ended. Their fate is sealed. And yet we, the living, still have something they no longer possess: the power to decide. For those who have stepped into the realm of light, their story is one of victory. They ran the race, they fought the good fight, they held on to truth despite the temptations and trials of the world, and now they stand in the presence of the Almighty, experiencing a joy that no words can describe. If we could see them now, we would see faces radiant with peace, hearts overflowing with the fullness of life. They are free from pain, free from sorrow, free from the weight of this fallen world. And they would tell us that every sacrifice was worth it, every hardship they endured, every trial they overcame, every moment of faithfulness, it all led to this eternal reward. But there is another reality, one that is far more terrifying. Right now, there are those who have stepped into a realm of regret. They too are awake. They too are aware. But instead of joy, they experience sorrow beyond human comprehension. They are not resting. They are not at peace. They are remembering. Every moment they turned away, every chance they ignored, every warning they brushed aside, it all comes back to them now. They once walked among the living, just as we do now, believing they had time, believing that death was far away. But death did not wait. It came, and now they are beyond the reach of mercy. If they could speak, they would cry out to us. They would plead with us not to follow in their footsteps. They would tell us that the greatest mistake is living as if this life is all there is. They would warn us that no amount of wealth, no level of success, no earthly pleasure is worth an eternity of separation from the source of life. They would beg us to wake up, to see what truly matters before it is too late, because one day we will stand where they stand. One day we will cross that threshold, and when we do, there will be no more time to change our course. Our eternity will be set just as theirs is now. So what will our story be? Will we be among those who rejoice or among those who regret? Will we step into light or into darkness? The answer is not determined after death. It is determined now in this very moment with every decision we make. We are given life as a gift, and with it, the responsibility to use it wisely. Every breath we take is a chance to seek truth, to turn back from the distractions of the world, to prepare for what lies ahead. But the danger is that we assume we have time. The greatest deception is the belief that we can wait, that we can live however we please now and think about eternity later. But later is not promised. The dead are proof of this. Many of them thought they had time. Many of them planned to change, planned to seek truth someday. But someday never came. That is why the time to choose is not tomorrow. It is not next week. It is now, because every moment we delay is a moment lost. Every breath we waste on things that do not matter is a breath we will never get back. And when our time comes, and it will come, only one thing will matter. Did we prepare for eternity? Those who are now in joy would tell us to hold on, to stay faithful, to walk the path that leads to life. Those who are in darkness would warn us not to make the mistake they made, not to ignore the truth, not to waste the time we have been given. The dead can no longer choose, but we can. Right now, in this moment, we hold in our hands what they no longer do, the power to decide our eternal destiny. The question is, what will we do with it?